when our consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by the material disease. So that means we are well immune from the virus, from the avidya, from the misidentification. So that's what Prabhupada mentioning here. Okay, this point here we mentioned. I think one point I wanted to mention here, the analogy of the medicine and disease. So the how we can, though the medicine is bitter, but when we can, though it's bitter, but how we can take it. That point I mentioned here. Some factors that can help us, because it's definitely we need to take the medicine every day, chanting Hare Krishna and doing. Sometimes it's very good. Sometimes we are feeling ecstatic to chant and remember, but sometimes it becomes very quite a burden. So some things, some points may can help us to tolerate the bitter medicine, though it's unpalatable. So one point is that the fear of aggravation or too much of future suffering, when we understand, then it becomes quite easy to take the medicine. When we have a disease, of course, I don't, I don't kind of desire anyone gets the very severe diseases. But in case if one gets some very heavy disease or strong, very painful diseases, then fear of aggravation in the future or future suffering will make them more serious to take the medicine. So that factor help them to they will definitely focus on taking the medicine regularly and very seriously, attentively, trying to consult the doctor frequently. So that factor helps us take the medicine. Similarly, by understanding that if I don't take the holy name properly and attentively, I may have to again keep on suffering the cycle of birth and death. I may have to take birth again, and definitely the progress will be there with us. Whatever we are trying to chant the holy names and spiritual advancement will be there. But the perfection point, till we are perfected, we need to at least we have to take birth again as a human being also. So in order to complete the process in this life, we need to become determined. Anyway, we are doing 2 hours chanting Hare Krishna. Anyway, we are determined and committed to chant 16 rounds every day. Now, why can't we keep little bit of concentration, attention, and to improve them day by day? So by that, we can try to progress in spiritual life as well. So that fear can help us to take the medicine more easily, and also the eagerness to return to normal health, to carry on day-to-day activities and responsibilities with joy. So that eagerness also will help want to take the medicine uh, without any disgust, without any kind of frustration, etc. So here, eagerness to return to normal health means going back to Godhead, being with Krishna, serving Krishna in our natural position, going to spiritual world, going to back to Godhead. These are also uh, can be nitpickers. There are two things. One senior devotee is Radha Gopinath Prabhu was sharing that let us suppose if you want to lift a person who fell in a well or like that, two things can help easily to lift him up. If something is pushing from down, if somebody is pushing from down, that is also helpful, and someone is pulling from on top, both will help to come out easily. Pulling from top is the attraction to spiritual world. Pushing from down is like a fear of the material existence. So both these factors can help us. There was a train called push and pull. So from behind there was engine, from front also there was engine. especially Lonavala, they need 2 engines from back and front, push and pull. So by that, there is a double force. So there is also like that. We have a healthy fear of material existence and strong desire and attraction towards spiritual world. Both will help us. That's why even Krishna Prabhupada wrote a beautiful purport to 15th chapter. There he writes that one should be attracted by this information. One should be captivated by the information of the spiritual world. So in that way, we can take the medicine very easily. We can tolerate some periods of very heavy burden periods that we may face sometimes while chanting the holy names. And seeing that somebody is working hard to make the medicine accessible. Yeah, this example we discussed previously. Just like a baby or a child, not a baby, but a child who sees that his mother working hard to bring the medicine, which is costing a lot. It's costing a lot, but the child is trying to see the endeavors of his mother. Just because the mother is endeavoring a lot, though the child may not like to take the medicine, but just the fact that mother is working hard for the medicine, so the child is taking the medicine not because medicine is very taste, only because mother is working hard day and night. So that is helping to take the medicine easily, though it's bitter. And fourth factor can help us to take the medicine of the chanting the holy names is that knowing that the beloved will be happy to please the beloved. Just like Srila Prabhupada and disciples. Though the disciples, Prabhupada is initial, and also now those who are disciples of spiritual master. If we love our spiritual master, if we are actually want to develop love to spiritual master, we are committed to chant the 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra with attention, with devotion. So just to please my spiritual master, just to please my superiors, though it's difficult, though it may be sometimes I don't feel like to chant, but I'll chant. So that can help us to chant more attentively, more affectionately. Yeah, but the most important thing is the faith of the patient in the doctor. So the faith of the patient, the doctor, that whatever the doctor is saying is correct, and if I follow the path, follow the prescriptions, rules and regulations given by the doctor, if I follow them, I will be cured. That the faith is the main sustaining factor to take the medicine. So by that we grow in our taking the medicine both easy and beneficial. That's why by following those 4 factors or 5, whatever reasons I heard or I try to compile, so they can make the chanting easy. And chanting is also easy in the sense that it's not just like a yoga practices, yoga or jnana, the karma kanda, all the other processes are very, very troublesome, cumbersome, very tedious, costly, and not practical in these days. But chanting holy names is always easy. No one need to pay for the chanting of the holy names. No one is asking, okay, you should pay every day 16,000 rupees to chant 16 rounds. No, it's easy and it's quite beneficial. We have seen so many glories of the holy name. So in that way, it's not only easy and it's beneficial as well. Okay. Okay, now the symptoms Prabhupada is bringing out. So we are taking the medicine. What are the symptoms we should see in our chanting? Okay, I agree to take the medicine and went to doctor, have faith in the doctor, took the prescription, and then I started the medicine, taking the medicine. But how to know that it's working, whether medicine is working or not? So the symptoms will show. Yeah. Some other devotee can continue.
There are three stages in chanting the holy name of the Lord: the offensive stage, the stage of lessening offenses, and the pure stage. When a neophyte takes to the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, he generally commits many offenses. There are 10 basic offenses, and if the devotee avoids these, he can he can glimpse the next stage, which is situated between the offensive chanting and pure chanting. When one attains the pure stage, he is immediately liberated. This is called Bhava Mahadavarni Nirvapanam. As soon as one is liberated from the blazing fire of material existence, he can relish the test of transcendental life. The conclusion is that in order to get freed from the material disease, one must take to the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra.
Yeah,
The
so
Krishna
here, yeah, 1 minute. So here Prabhupada is concluding. So basically, whether we chant attentively or not, at least we should chant. That is the main point Prabhupada is making. That at least we keep up the 16 rounds chanting every day, day in and day out. But we endeavor, we struggle to improve the quality as well. That's what Prabhupada is saying. That in conclusion, at least we chant 16 rounds, and on the top, as the committed devotees, we improve our quality of chanting with attention and with devotion, with affection as we grow in our spiritual life. Okay, now we are taking the medicine, Adarat, Anudinam. Now, what will happen? The root of the disease is gradually cured. That's what Prabhupada mentioned. The root of the disease is misconception. That will be cured. Misconception about ourselves and misconception about Krishna also. There are so many misconceptions about God. So they also will be cleared. That Prabhupada will explain. The next verse also explains more. So in our case, yeah, the stages of the cure are explained now in detail. Gradually, how they will happen, how the root is diseased, how the root is cured, is explained. Swadvi. And the gradual decrease of the disease should also result in increase in the taste. Just like a gradual decrease in the disease has to reflect in increase in the immunity and intake of prasad or food. So when we are saying my disease is decreasing, that means you are increasing our immunity inside internally, and also our external intake is also increasing. That is the main symptoms of the uh, decrease in the disease. So, so in spiritual terms, a comparison of analogy, increasing intake means we are developing the taste. Swadvi, Pramat, we are developing the taste little by little to spiritual aspects more and more. We are our attraction to, last time also we discussed the attraction to material things are reducing uh, little by little, day by day. So that's what this verse also, famous verse from 11th canto. Bhakti pareshan bhavo viraktir अन्यत्र चैषत्रिक एककाला प्रपद्यमानस्य यथा स्नतः स्युस् तुष्टिपुष्टिक्षुदापायोऽनुघासाम्. So bhakti pareshan bhavo virakti. Last time we discussed a little bit. Roji, can you read this translation?
Soji, it's difficult for me to read there.
Okay, okay.
My, yeah,
No
please go.
problem. Devotion, direct experience of Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These three occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality Godhead. In the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger can come simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating. Last time we discussed how Tushti, Pushti, Kshudapaya. Tushti means pleasure, Pushti means nourishment, and Kshudapaya means relief from hunger. So they start coming simultaneously and increasingly. As we take each morsel of food, the hungry person takes each bite will give pleasure and it relieves from hunger and body nourishment happens. Similarly, devotion, bhakti, Parayichanubhava, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, Parayichanubhava, and Virakti, detachment from matter, material things, non-devotional things. So these three occur simultaneously as we actually progress in chanting the holy names. That should be happening. If that is not happening, then there is something wrong in our, something not exactly wrong. We need to check exactly what is going, where we are going wrong. Definitely we are chanting Hare Krishna. How we need to improve, that we need to see. If there's a, if they may not be seen within a day or within a month, within a year, but are we progressing towards this direction at least? At least the direction, are we growing towards this direction? That we need to see. And direct experience of Supreme Lord means that we are seeing, trying to see the hand of the Lord in our life, at least in some aspects. Yeah, Lord's hand, yeah, definitely is there. That's how we are moving ahead in spiritual life, but we will be able to see if we just introspect our lives, some incidents, some situations in our life, they definitely show the hand of the Lord. Mother Kunti Maharani prays to the Lord that whatever situations to be underwent, she gives many incidents in her prayer. Vishan Mahatmer Purushada Darshana Atat Sabhaya Vanavasa Krichatah Mrude Mrudene Kamaharadasruto Dromnyastrachashyatma Hare Virakshita. He gives many incidents. But some of the incidents, if you analyze, there was no Krishna at all. In whatever she mentioned in the verse, Vishan Mahagner, Bhima was poisoned, Vishan Mahagne, when Pandavas are given the poison, and when Pandavas are put into black house, fire, I mean, house was put on fire. There was no direct intervention of Krishna directly there. But still, she is saying that he only protected us. So that means she is able to see the Krishna's hand behind many situations, what is happening in her life. So that is the direct experience of Krishna. That also we need to try to introspect and try to see the hand of the Lord in various situations. So that is the also we can experience the hand of the Lord in our life by practicing bhakti. These are the symptoms of bhakti. That as we progress, we will be able to see the hand of the Lord, and especially the detachment from the matter. That is the most important thing that we are able to see in our life. That practically Prabhupada mentions in this next part of the purport that how the stages grow gradually. Till now he mentioned in terms of stages, he mentioned three stages: Nama Prad, Nama Bhas, and Shuddhana. So in these three stages, he mentioned about what is meant by advancement in chanting Hare Krishna. Now he gives the 9 stages of devotional service, how one gradually grows by chanting the holy names. Continue, bro.
The Krishna consciousness movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. One must begin with faith, and when this faith is increased by chanting, a person can become a member of the society. We are sending Sankirtan parties all over the world, and they are experiencing that even in the remotest part of the world where there is no knowledge of Krishna, the Hare Krishna mantra attracts thousands of men to our camp. In some areas, people begin to imitate the devotees by shaving their heads and chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Only a few days after hearing the mantra, this may be imitative, but imitation of a good thing is desired. Some imitators gradually become interested in being initiated by the spiritual master and offer themselves for initiation. If one is sincere, he is initiated, and this stage is called Bhajana Kriya. One then actually engages in the service of the Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds daily and refraining from illicit sex, intoxication, meat eating, and gambling. By Bhajana Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to a restaurant or a hotel to taste so-called palatable dishes made with meat and onion, nor does he care to smoke or drink tea and coffee. He not only refrains from illicit sex but avoids sex life entirely. Nor is he interested in wasting his time in speculating or gambling. In this way, it is to be understood that one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things, anartha nivrutti. The word anartha refers to unwanted things. Anarthas are vanquished when one becomes attached to Krishna consciousness movement. When a person is relieved from unwanted things, he becomes fixed in executing his Krishna activities. Indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. This is called bhava, the preliminary awakening of dormant love of Godhead. Thus, the conditioned soul becomes free from material existence and loses interest in the bodily conception of life, including material opulence, material knowledge, and material attraction of all variety. At such a time, one can understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is and what Maya is. Although Maya is present, it cannot disturb a devotee once he attains the Bhava stage. This is because devotee can see the real position of Maya. Maya means forgetfulness of Krishna, and forgetfulness of Krishna uh, and Krishna consciousness stands side by side like light and shadow. If one remains in shadow, he cannot enjoy the facilities offered by light. And if one remains in light, he cannot be disturbed by the darkness of shadow. By taking to Krishna consciousness, one gradually becomes liberated and remains in light. Indeed, he does not even touch the darkness, as confirmed in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 22.31. कृष्ण सूर्य सम माया है अंधकार यहाँ कृष्ण तथा नाही मायार अधिकार. Krishna is compared to sunshine and Maya is compared to darkness. Wherever there is sunshine, there cannot be darkness. As soon as one takes to Krishna consciousness, the darkness of illusion, the influence of material, of external energy will immediately vanish.
Yeah. So Prabhupada just listed all the stages with a little bit explanation how it starts, the process starts. So he mentioned how the whole ISKCON movement is especially created to bring an atmosphere to make people chant Hare Krishna. So then he started with how people develop faith and they become members. He gave a practical experience of his own Sankirtan parties all over the world. How people are just by hearing for a few days they were chanting Hare Krishna. And of course, their imitation. Prabhupada agrees. They don't understand on a Shastric basis or any kind of a logical understanding or convictions, but just imitation. That imitation is also a good thing is desired, as Prabhupada mentioning. Just like children also imitate, as the parents when they do something, anything they do, children try to imitate. But that is imitation also is a good thing. They keep on learning more and more. But they will also grow in terms of Shastric understanding and they offer themselves initiation, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, then starts Bhajana Kriya. Bhajana Kriya, you take up the process seriously, the Bhajana Kriya. So once the Bhajana Kriya starts, that's really the process starts of turning the heart. That's where one attains freedom from contamination by the bhajana kriya. There are many examples also we discussed: churning butter or making the ghee from starting with milk, bringing out the ghee is the last point. So by removing many other things, while making ghee also, we have to keep on removing the contamination. We bring to the final point. So by the bhajana kriya, Prabhupada also gives a practical points how to understand the progress. Again here, we are attaining freedom from contamination, how to understand. So he mentioned about few points on a gross level and subtle level. He's not interested also in wasting time. Internally also is not, he don't have interest internally. And externally all the 40 principles is following up to the point, giving up everything. So if we just consider eating, sleeping, mating, and defending on one side 100%, 100% if we are doing, then we are called animal. If you take to other side 0%, means we are liberated completely. Especially Goswami's Prabhupada mentions that the more we gradually comes towards this side of reducing them, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, or as we are reducing them slowly, practicing, that has to come towards this side. The more we are coming towards this side means we are becoming liberated more and more. So the Goswamis are practically nil. Prabhupada mentions many times they are practically nil, all these four things. Even eating and sleeping, they are practically nil. So the more we are coming towards this side by our practice, not by just force. Force will only can bring up to some extent, but it will not sustain. Only by spiritually development happens, and when spiritual attraction happens, then we are gradually progressing towards this side of the graph, from 100% engagement towards almost coming towards zero, means liberated personality. So that's what Prabhupada mentioning in there. So by Bhajana Kriya, another nivritti happens. So here Prabhupada brings out a beautiful point that anarthas are vanquished when one becomes attached to the Krishna conscious movement. So the attachment and detachment is a very beautiful concept, especially as a bhakti process, as we are trying to practice bhakti. Our main focus is to develop attachment to Krishna. So by that detachment automatically comes in. So the positive aspects we are emphasized in especially Krishna conscious movement, not the negative process of giving up things. Just like a person, one example is given by one acharya that just like if you are holding a rock in your hand, and if you want to pick up an axe which was lying on the ground to cut a tree or to cut a firewood for your yajna. So our focus is to trying to pick up the axe which is at the bottom, which is on the ground. So while focusing on that, you automatically give up the rock in the hand in the due course of time. Or when you are focusing on picking up the axe, you immediately give up the rock and pick up the axe. So giving up rock is compared to renunciation or detachment from matter, and picking up the axe is more of a positive aspect, positive aspects of picking up the Krishna consciousness, focusing on positive aspects. So these two, yeah, that's what Prabhupada also mentions in the first sloka of the 7th chapter. What is this? First verse of 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Maya sakta manah partha yogam yunjan madashrayah atam swayam samagram mam yatagnachi tatshun. Maya sakta, asakti in Krishna. We need to develop attachment to Krishna. So by that automatically we gain a detachment from the matter. So our focus is more on developing an attachment to Krishna consciousness, Krishna conscious movement, Prabhupada is saying here. Anarthas are the byproducts, it will happen. So that should be our main focus, taking up Krishna consciousness. Though sometimes it may happen that we are sleep, we may happen to slip in our path, or we may slack in our process. But definitely we are picking up again, focusing on the attachment to Krishna. So that's Prabhupada explains, and he continues with another nivritti, then Nishta, fixed up in our executing the Krishna consciousness activities. Whatever may happen, I am going to do my bhakti activities. I'll just share one purport we read from his great Rajam was sharing from 11th canto. How a sadhaka bhakta is determined in his devotional service. He was showing one verse from 11th canto where Uddhav Maharaj, no, Krishna is speaking himself. How a sadhaka is determined in his process. I'm just sharing the document. Yes. It's a very beautiful understanding. I think Acharya has commented. I think it was translated by Prabhupada's disciples. 11th canto, 20th chapter, text number 27 and 28. Can someone read this one, this point?
Yes, Prabhuji, I read. Only Lord Krishna within my heart can remove such inauspicious contamination. But whether the Lord removes such attachments immediately or lets me go on being afflicted by them, I'll never give up my devotional service to Him. Even if the Lord places millions of obstacles in my path, and even if because of my offense I go to hell, I'll never for a moment stop serving Lord Krishna. I'm not interested in mental speculation and fruity activities. Even if Lord Brahma personally comes before me offering such engagements, I'm not even slightly interested. Although I'm attached to material things, I can see very clearly that they lead to no good because they are simply giving me trouble and disturb my devotional service to the Lord. Therefore, I sincerely repent my foolish attachment to so many material things, and I'm patiently awaiting Lord Krishna's mercy. Correct.
Yeah, this is the condition of the initial devotee who is coming to bhakti, or who has taken bhakti seriously. These are the initial periods Krishna is explaining in these verses, that though devotee is determined to serve Krishna, but still he has attachments. He is unable to give them immediately. These are some thoughts, some moods of the devotee. He is thinking like that. He is saying that thus he thinks my previous here on this point out is good, that thus he thinks by my previous shameful life, my heart is polluted with many illusory attachments. Personally, I have no power to stop them. Only Lord Krishna within my heart can remove such inauspicious contamination. But whether the Lord removes such attachments immediately, or lets me go on being afflicted by them, I will never give up my devotion system. So whether we are purified immediately or not, whether we are frustrated with activities of chanting, etc., or we are in ecstasy, that doesn't matter. I will continue keep on serving the Lord. That's why he's saying, even if the Lord places millions of obstacles in my path, and even if because of my offense I go to hell, I will never for a moment stop serving Lord. So these are some determined, fixed up devotees' intentions and commitments to the process. That's when we say that we are fixed up, Nectar. Though things are there in the heart, it's not purified completely. That's why Prabhupada also mentioned in the later stages that even at the bhava, at that stage of bhava, although Maya may be present, it cannot disturb a devotee once he attains bhava stage. See, even at the stage of bhava is also side by side Maya is present, but he is not disturbed by that. So these are the stages before that: Nishta, Ruchi, And asakti is more of attachment to the process, attachment to the activities of devotional services. And then slowly we come to the stages of higher levels, bhava and then prema. Then Prabhupada concludes by what are the real symptoms of who is advancing at the stage of asakti, bhava and prema. So at those stages, even Maya present, the one is not disturbed. Just like he gave examples of sun and giving quoting shloka from Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishna Surita Maya Andakar, Maya. This is the ideal symptoms of an advanced devotee. One gradually becomes liberated by taking the Krishna consciousness. Indeed, he does not even touch the darkness. At the higher levels, one is not disturbed, and even Maya will not at all disturb the advanced devotee. So that's how these are all stages definitely possible for everyone. They are not just meant for only advanced devotees. These processes are given by Rupa Goswami. In especially Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you will read more details about these processes. And upcoming concepts also, you will read more in details in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But the stages are mentioned here succinctly. And these are all possible for every devotee, every personality, we are all part and parcel of Krishna. We are souls, and Krishna is always there with us in our hearts. And he is definitely helping us in various ways to advance in devotional service. But it all depends on our determination and seriousness and enthusiasm, how we take up the process, how we go ahead in spiritual life. It all depends on us. Anyone, whoever it may be, whether Grihastha, Brahmachari, or Sannyasi, anyone, how much we follow the process seriously, to that degree we advance. That's why Prabhupada made a statement in the introduction, preface. Advancement of the devotee depends on the attitude of power. So that's the process that we are meant to achieve, or we are given the opportunity to achieve. Okay, that's the whole point of Prabhupada's mentioning in the 7th verse. Basically, 7th verse is saying that we are now in disease condition. Definitely, we cannot taste Sri Krishna Nama Charitadi. We are unable to have a great taste. We are unable to long for. But definitely, we continue the process into Adharatanudinam. Definitely, we develop taste for those things. Okay, now the most deep aspect of that process of where we need to practice, where we can attain how we can advance very quickly also is mentioned in the 8th verse. Definitely the chanting helps, chanting of the holy names, hearing Krishna Katha will help one to getting out of the disease or curing the root itself. What more can help is mentioned here. The places and the people whom to follow, where to stay, so that the process is catalyzed, is mentioned in the 8th verse. So that the process is very quick and swiftly we can advance. So he is mentioning in the 8th verse. Let us see. Please repeat. Tannamarupacharitari sukirtananu. Hare Krishna. Let us recite the verse.
Tannamarupacharitadi sukirtananu.
Smrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya.
Mrityo kramena rasana manasi niyojya.
Tishtan vraje tadanuragi jananugami.
Tishtam vraje tadanuragi jananugami.
Kalam nayet akilamityupadesha saram.
Kalam naye dakilam mityapude upadesha saram.
So is almost Prabhupada Swami is almost concluding the Upadesha Saram, Upadesha Amrit is almost concluding here in 8th verse. Other 3 verses are more about the glorification of the places and people, are the most exalted places, the most exalted people are glorified in the next 3 verses. But almost the conclusion instructions are concluded in this verse. Upadesha Saram. What is Upadesha Saram? Kalam Nayed. One should spend time. Akilam Ityupadesha Saram. All the instructions of the Sara is that one should spend time. Kalam Nayed, one should spend time. How one should spend time? So they should spend time in Tannama Rupa Charitadi Sukirtananu. Kirtan karna hai. We should do Kirtan. Not only Kirtan, Sukirtan. Very nicely and very happily, joyfully. What we should chant? Tannama Rupa Charitadi. Tan means Krishna's, Lord Krishna's. His name, his Rupa, his activities, his form, his qualities, Charita, his activities, all we need to nicely chant and hear, especially chant. Sukirtana, Anusmriti. After chanting, one should remember also. Smrutyo, Anusmriti, we need to remember. So we chant, we remember. Of course, Shravanam is already included in that. So Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. So we are doing all this. Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya. We should engage. Kramena, we should gradually engage. Not only the Rasana. Rasana means tongue. We engage the tongue by reciting. Kirtan Karne. We engage the tongue in recitation. And we engage gradually the mind also. In what? In remembering. Smrityo. Because the mind is a central factor for remembering. Though externally we may be chanting or we may be reciting, we may be doing kirtan, we may be speaking about Krishna Katha, we may be singing Mangalarti, Guru Puja or whatever. But the central factor is the mind. Though we may be doing externally, after a few years, if you keep on speaking also, it becomes mechanical. It can become mechanical, not it becomes mechanical. It can become mechanical many times. While Mangalarati, Guru Puja, Narsimharati, Tulsi Arati. So we are singing, but mind is not there. So that's why he's saying, Kramena Rasana Manasi Niyojya. We need to engage the mind also in remembering while reciting. Okay, we do that. So where we need to stay? Oh, you can recommend Tishtan Braje. Better you reside in Braja. Tishtan Braje. Okay, if I alone go there and sit in Vrindavan and engage my tongue and mind, is that okay? No. Saying we should follow Tadanuragi Jananugami. Tadanuragi, that Supreme Lord's Anuragi, those who are very much attached to Supreme Lord, that kind of persons, that kind of Jana, Tadanuragi Jananugami, those Janas we need to Anugami, we need to follow in their footsteps, we need to follow their instructions. In that way, we need to situate ourselves in Vrindavan, in Braja, Tishtan Braje, Tadanuragi Jananugami. So by doing that, we should spend our time. That is the essence of all the instructions. So essence of all instructions is to just pass our time in remembering all Krishnas, in not only remembering, in reciting and remembering, by engaging our mind and the tongue, and by sitting in Vrindavan, in the following footsteps of the great devotees. That is the essence of Upadesha Saram. So that's what the verse is saying. Let us see the subtleties of this verse. So we should all go to Vrindavan and situate ourselves, take a flat and buy a flat and stay there. Is that the advice? Let us see what Prabhupada mentions here. So some other devotee can read.
Yes, sir, we shall read. The essence of all Vedics is that one should utilize one full time, 24 hours a day, in nicely chanting and remembering the Lord's divine name, transcendental form, qualities, and eternal pastimes, thereby gradually engaging in one tongue and mind. In this way, one should reside. Second point, in this way, one should reside in Braja, Golok, Vrindavan, and serve Krishna under the guidance of devotees. One should follow in the footsteps of Lord's beloved devotees, particularly attached to the devotional service.
Yeah. So the main thing is pass the time in pastimes, remembering and chanting the pastimes. That's the essence of the verse is saying that one should reside in Braja under the guidance of devotees who are deeply attached to Krishna and his service. So by that, following their instructions, following in their footsteps, we should spend our time. So so we should decide in Vrindavan or not. So what actually is Vrindavan? Where is Vrindavan? So let us see what Prabhupada is mentioning in one of the purports to, not purport exactly, but he wrote additional note to the 10th canto, first chapter. After first chapter, he wrote a beautiful comment. What is Mathura? What is Vrindavan? He's quoting from one Upanishad. Please read through this one. Are you able to see?
Yeah, in this regard to Mathura, we find this quotation in Gopal Tapani Upanishad 2.63. Matyate tu jagat sarvam brahma jnanena yena va tat sara bhutam yad yashyam Mathura sa nidadete. When the self-realized soul acts in transcendent position in situations is called Mathura. In other words, when one acts in the process of Bhakti Yoga, he may live anywhere, but actually he lives in Mathura Vrindavan. Devotion to Krishna, the son of Gurunanda Maharaj, is the essence of all knowledge. And wherever such knowledge is manifested, is called Mathura. Also, when one established Bhakti Yoga, excluding all other methods, one's situation is called Mathura. Yatra Nityam Sanhito Hari, the place where Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead lives, eternal, is called Mathura. Is
Yeah.
there one take one additional note?
Yeah. So this is Mathura, Vrindavan. Where is Mathura? Where is Vrindavan? So he is mentioning here. In other words, when one acts in the process of Bhakti Yoga, he may live anywhere, but actually he lives in Mathura and Vrindavan. So wherever devotion to Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj, is the essence of all knowledge, and wherever such knowledge is manifested, is called Mathura. So Mathura is not only definitely a geographical place, and we need to take time or take at least endeavor to go there and be there for some time to experience, to receive mercy of the devotees. But it's not just a great geographic place as well. Prabhupada mentioned many times. Though I am staying in New York or Los Angeles, but I am always living in Vrindavan because his consciousness is always absorbed how to serve Krishna, how to give Vrindavan to others. Not just staying in Vrindavan, but it's how he's taking Vrindavan to everyone. So that's the main point here Prabhupada is bringing out here in this comments. So also Prabhupada many times mentions my temples, all the temples are actually Vaikunthas and Vrindavan, Mathura. They are spiritual world. Though definitely it's very difficult to experience or feel immediately, but they are in actuality. Because the deities are not different from the Supreme Lord. Wherever Supreme Lord exists, that is the Vrindavan, that is the Mayapur, that is the Jagannath Puri. But it takes practice, it takes realization. That's why many devotees, even in ISKCON also, especially some sannyasis, they wanted to be, especially His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. When he left body, he said, I want to prove the proper statement that my places are Vrindavan. So I want to be, my Samadhi can be only in New, I think, what is the place? I think it's Gita Nagari. Gita Nagari is where he established a farm project. So he said, let my Samadhi be there. That's what their conviction. But wherever Prabhupada established the centers and they are the non-different spiritual world. But it takes definitely a practice and realization. They are spiritual world. Prabhupada mentions all the mode of ignorance places like liquors and brothels are mode of ignorance, and cities are in mode of passion, and forests are in mode of goodness. But temples are in beyond the modes. So it's all how we practice, how we also associate with the devotees in the temple. That makes the atmosphere more and more vibrant as a spiritual atmosphere. It's all our responsibility. It's not individual responsibility. It's all our responsibility as a congregation, as a brahmacharis. We come together. The more we focus on the principles and ideals, so that make a place more and more vibrant as a temple, so that it can attract many people to the movement also, and it makes the place vibrant with spiritual atmosphere. Okay, that's about system Raje, where we need to situate ourselves. And we are following the footsteps of the great Mahajans, Prabhupada, and their instructions. And we are trying to remember Krishna's pastimes every day. We are trying to attend whatever possible or frequently autumn classes or weekend classes. We are trying to hear about Krishna, his name. We are chanting his names. And definitely, we are in the process. We are not at all out of the process. We need to be convinced about that. It's not that some people think, especially some devotees, give up ISKCON and go to Raja and go to especially Radhakund and stay there. Those topics will come in the later verses. Prabhupada was very much against to that. Very heavy on that, giving up everything and going to Vrindavan and just sitting and chanting. That is not the recommended process. Though the text is emphasizing on the main principle, we need to understand how acharyas are mentioned, how acharyas are conducted themselves. So Prabhupada, if at all, if Prabhupada wanted to, if the verse is emphasizing just to stay in Vrindavan, why Prabhupada left Vrindavan? Right now, that main question can come. If the verse is emphasizing just to stay and remember Krishna, and then why Prabhupada left Vrindavan? And then went to the dirtiest of the dirtiest places of the world. Even the normal Indians also don't want to stay there. I don't want to be there, such places. Why Prabhupada went there? So we need to understand the principle there. That Prabhupada will emphasize here, purports. Let us see. So now, but main point here, engage the mind and tongue. That's what Prabhupada focuses on. How to engage the mind, how to train the mind. That is the main part of the purport. Prabhupada focuses on this purport. Okay. Please read.
Since the mind may be one's enemy or one's friend, one has to train the mind to become his friend. The Krishna conscious mind is especially meant for training the mind to be always engaged in Krishna's business. Why we need to train the mind? What dangerous situation in life, in this life, and dangerous in next life. Mind contain hundreds and thousands of impressions, not only of this life, but also of many lives of the past. These impressions sometimes come in contact with one other and produce contradictory pictures. In this way, the mind's function can become dangerous for conditions. Study of psychology are aware of mind's various psychological changes. And
Prabhupada mentioned about the what is the dangerous position in this life. If you don't train the mind, what happens to us in this life? He explained that we understand, we have practical experiences with the mind. Okay, no need to. You also read in Bhagavad Gita also 6th chapter. A lot is spoken about mind, and we also need to definitely put emphasis on this aspect, because mind is the center and it is the main. Prabhupada also quotes a beautiful verse. Maneva manukshanam karanam bandha mokshayo. So mind is the key factor. So we need to keep on remembering, applying, how to tackle them, how to train the mind, how to how to maximize the mind's efficiency in terms of practice of spiritual life. We need to be careful about. Okay, what happens if we don't control the mind or train the mind? What happens in the next life? Please read.
Next slide. 8.6. Yeah. In Bhagavad Gita 8.6 it said, Yamam vapi smaram bhavam tyajete ante kalevaram tam tam iveti konteya sad tada bhava bhavita. Outer state of one being, one remembers when he quits his body, that state he will attain without fail. First, at the time of death, the mind and intelligence of a living entity create a subtle form of a certain type of body for next life. The mind suddenly thinks of something not very tangible, one has to take a corresponding birth in the next life. On the other hand, if one can think of Krishna at the time of death, it can be transferred to the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. This process of transmutation very subtle. Therefore, Rupa Goswami advises devotees to train their minds in order that they will be unable to remember anything other than Krishna. Similarly, the tongue should be trained to speak only of Krishna and to taste only Krishna Prasad.
Yeah, so this topic is well known. You might have definitely heard many principles and tips, various suggestions and helps how to tackle the mind and what it all comes up with. So that we need to be little careful about. We are dealing with the mind because mind is the center. We have to deal with mind. We cannot completely reject it or we cannot avoid it. It is a friend and enemy, as we read in Bhagavad Gita also. So these principles Prabhupada is emphasizing here again. So then not only the mind, but tongue also we need to engage. Yes, continue.
After controlling mind and tongue, Tistan Vraje. Sri Rupa Goswami further advised Tistan Vraje. One should live in Vrindana or any part of Vrajbhumi or the land of Vrindavana is supposed to be 84 krosas in area. 1 krosha equals 2 square miles. When one makes Vrindavan is a residence, he should take shelter of an advanced devotee there. In this way, one should always think of Krishna and his pastimes. This is further related by Sri Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.294. Krishnam Smaranam Janam Yachasya Preshtam Nija Samhitam Tat Kata Ratasya Chakshushu Kuryat Vasham Vraje Sada. A devotee should always reside in transcendent realm of Varja and always engage in Krishnam Smaranam Janam Chasya Preshtam, the remembrance of Sri Krishna and his beloved associates. Following these footsteps of such associates and by entering under the eternal guidance, one can require an intense desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Again, Srila Goswami, Rupa Goswami states in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.2.295, Seva Sadhaka Rupena Siddha Rupene Chatra Hi Tad Bhava Lipusena Kare Vraja Loka Nonasharata. The transcendental realm of Vraja Dharma, one should serve the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna without feeling something to that of his associates. And one should place himself under the direct guidance of a particular associate of Krishna and should follow in these footsteps. This method is applicable both to the stage of sadhana, spiritual practices executed while in the stage of bondage and the stage of sadhya, God realization. One is in Siddha Purusha or a spirituality perfect soul.
So, Robert, just elaborating more about after we try to control mind and tongue by engaging carefully in the Krishna Katha, speaking Krishna Katha, and thinking about services. Anugami, Tadanuragi Jananugami, following in the advice of the great devotees, we need to engage ourselves. Every day also we sing Tulsi Arati. In Tulsi Arati we also sing the same, almost same points that please give me residence in Vrindavan, Moraye, Vilas, Yadiyovas, so that I am able to have darshan of their lordships and serve them. Moraye, Abhilash. यही निवेदन करो सखीरानुगत करो सेवा अधिकार दिए करो निजिदास. So he is aspiring to be able to serve in the Vrindavan Dham. So these are all definitely we need to aspire for them, but we need to follow the process. These are the aspirations of a devotee. Want to serve Krishna, but the point will be always that we are trying to serve Krishna. In that service, we are finding the joy. We are not there just like people go to movie and sit in the balcony or sit in the top of somewhere, and they are having a trying to enjoy a movie, that hero and heroine on the screen. So that is not the mood of a devotee, where he is going to Vrindavan trying to enjoy the pastimes of the Lord. No, he wants to engage in the service of the Lord, thereby give enjoyment to them. So that's the mood of a devotee. So there's a great difference between material enjoyment and spiritual enjoyment. So devotee always aspire to serve. In the service, there is enjoyment. Though we are unable to experience right now how service gives enjoyment, how service the pleasure, sacrifice is a pleasure, sacrifice to spiritual master, sacrificing for the pleasure of the Lord, taking risk for the pleasure of the Lord. It's a great satisfaction and pleasure. It's quite difficult to experience, but definitely that sacrifice itself is the satisfaction and pleasure. We can see also in our life, in our lives, mother and child example is always there. And also many disciples of Prabhupada, how much they sacrificed, how much they risked their life to serve Prabhupada. And they are finding great joy in that, great joy and pleasure in doing that, sacrificing their lives and their time and energy in serving. So that these examples, some examples will they may not be logically understood, but there is definitely a great pleasure in sacrificing and risking time and energy to serve superiors and to serve the beloveds. So that definitely there is a great pleasure in that. So in that we are trying to find joy in trying to serve the Lord, trying to please the Lord. So for that he gave two verses from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu to understand what happens in Vrindavan, what the devotee is aspiring in Vrindavan. So these are all by following in the footsteps of the associates, by entering under their eternal guidance, one can acquire an intense desire to serve. Here also is saying, so they aspire, they develop more and more desire to serve. So this is also one point that the more the actual result of service is that there is an external result and there is an internal result. Anything that we do, they have two results. One is external and one is internal. The external result of a service, definitely we may get some appreciation, some result. If you go to distribution, we have some score. If you are preaching, you have some people to cultivate or to help them to come up to the higher standards in devotional service, any other service. But the internal, most important, the internal result is an increase in desire to serve more. So that should be the actual result, that I develop more and more desire to serve. It's a very, very subtle and very advanced stage where we actually, when we serve, we are actually developing a desire to serve more. Sometimes the service itself is frustrating, and internally I am thinking that when the service will end, and I am not going to come again in this place, and I am not going to talk to this person or a devotee again. So definitely because of situation or intense circumstances, we may have that kind of desire, that kind of thoughts that are willing in the heart, but that may not be congenial to our devotional service. There's a beautiful verse in Suprabhatam, Venkateswara Suprabhatam, that he's saying that what he says, Aham do rataste padamboja yugma praname chaya agatya sevam karomi. He's saying, Aham do rataste, I am coming from far distance. Aham do rataste padamboja yugma. I want to serve, I will serve you of your two lotus feet. Padamboja yugmam. Aham durataste padamboja yugmam. Pranamechya yagatya sevam karomi. I will do my offering, my prostrate obeisances, and then I sevam karomi. I will render little service unto your lotus feet. Okay, then what do you want? Sevam karomi sakrut sevaya. Sakrut sevaya. By that small service, sakrut sevaya nitya seva phalantam. What do you want? Nitya seva. Sakrut sevaya nitya seva phalantam. Let the phala, let the result be the nitya seva to you. So the small service to you, let it be transformed into nitya seva. Continuous service. Increase in desire to serve. Intense desire to serve. So that should be the internal result of any service. Nitya seva phalantam prayacha prabhu venkatesha. I intensely desire prayacha prakrishta rupena icha prayacha prabhu venkatesha. Is praying like that. I come to you from long distance. I render little service, but the result of that service be the eternal service to you. The result of actual chanting is more chanting. Prabhupada was asked, what do you gain by chanting Hare Krishna? Prabhupada replied, we want to chant more and more. Desire to chant and want to chant more and more is the actual result of chanting Hare Krishna. That means we are really improving in our chanting. Why 16 rounds? Why not 1600? Why not 16,000? That's what Prabhupada's reply. How we need to check whether we are improving in our chanting. Prabhupada said, after chanting 16 rounds, why only 16? Why not 1600? Why not 16,000? So it's a very simple but sobering and very profound reply from Prabhupada. So the internal desire that we are trying to increasing in our desire to serve, or to chant, to serve, to please, these are internal desires, internal result of any service, any devotional activity. Though we may not be at that level, but we are endeavoring to. Just like any sweet we take, in general, when we taste any feast, any delicious item, delicious feast, when you eat gulab jamun, when you eat any sweet, which is very delicious, the desire increases. Oh, let me have more. Let me have more. It's natural. That's the natural taste. If it actually really tasty, any item, natural desire wells in the heart. Oh, let me have something more. That applies to spiritual life very, very appropriately. So seva, another word she quotes that seva sadhaka rupena siddha rupena chatrahi. So there is a very advanced stage. What is quoting here from Bhakti Rasam Sindhu. So the devotee serves not only in the external form, siddha rupa, sadhaka rupa, seva, sadhaka rupena, siddha rupena, means that advancement became so at the stage of bhava and prema. These are the stages where one realizes his own identity, actual identity. Then he is serving in the both forms, externally and internally. But both are serving. That is the main point. That's the main point. That is serving in the both stages. He didn't stop the service. So this method applicable in the stage of sadhana, spiritual practice executed while in the stage of bondage, and in the stage of sadhya, God realization, when one is with the Purusha, a spiritually perfect soul. So this point has to be emphasized. That it's not that at one stage we stop serving. Just like Mayavadis, they have idea that we give up spiritual master, we give up everything, we merge in. No, the devotee's aspiration is to serve wherever he is. Okay. Yes, some other devotee can continue. What Bhaktivedanta Thakur is saying about this verse.
Prabhu, just now you were quoting from Venkateswara Prabhatam, na Prabhu?
Yes.
From where you get this meaning by shloka? Where I
You
will
can,
get the meaning?
I mean, exact meaning we can, when we can, I didn't get, I heard from a devotee who knows Sanskrit. I don't have any kind of translation to everything, but one devotee shared to me. So that's why, but
Okay.
you can find,
Okay.
Yes, bro.
Okay, bro.
Thank you. Yes, bro.
May I read,
Continue.
Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented as follows upon this verse. One who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his name, form, qualities, pastimes, and so forth. In this way, after developing a taste for such things, one should try to live in Vrindavan and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. This is the sum and substance of all instructions regarding the cultivation of devotional service.
Yeah. So here the process is we need to be convinced that it's not just by reading or hearing about exalted pastimes of Krishna Radha and Krishna we can go to that stage. We clearly Prabhupada also many times we mentioned here also not yet developed interest. He should give up all material motives and train his mind to we keep on practicing our bhakti elements. All the bhakti elements we keep on practicing, and definitely that stage will come. The practical example is the small 20 seconds or 30 seconds video of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. That is a proof of hundreds and thousands of literature. Just by following Prabhupada, one will attain perfection. There is no doubt about that. One should be convinced about that, and one should practice those things, not just by conviction, but one should commit. Conviction should lead to commitment. By that, definitely one will progress in spiritual life. And practical proofs we have seen, and everyone has seen. It's not just by speaking. Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, manifested the opulences of speaking very esoteric pastimes, very esoteric dealings and technical information, etc. He just spoke very fundamentals, basics, what Prabhupada spoke, and he did what Prabhupada spoke to him and ordered him to do. And just by carrying out, he perfected his. Definitely, he's a exalted devotee. But the perfection he shown by that small 30-second video, how he's perfected the devotional service. So yeah, that we need to be convinced about that. That's what the main summon substance was given under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. One should continue his process of devotional service. Actually, the next stages, these are all some stages. Technical understanding is given by Prabhupada in the purport. Is taken from Jiva Goswami. These are all different stages that are seen or experienced by devotee gradual levels. Once advancement, how it happens. He explained in technical terms. Prabhupada quoted from I think Sandarbhas. He just gives the stages. It doesn't explain much more and more details in that. Any examples or any more details he didn't give. But he just mentioned some stages and little bit understanding. I also didn't dwell much into very in-depth all the stages, how they progress. But definitely these are the stages of our practice of devotional service. We will just go through them. Please read Prabhu Sagar Prabhu.
Yeah. 5 stages of progression. In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravana Das.
Dasha. It's called Dasha.
Shravana Dasa.
Yeah,
The stage
Dasha.
of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna, and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varna Dasha. When one attains this stage, he becomes attained to the hearing of Krishna Katha. Third, when one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering, recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are the 5 stages of progressive Krishna Smarana. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When the remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, one enters the stage of samadhi or spiritual trance. After smarana dasha or samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to the understanding. The soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. This that is called Sampatti Dasha, the perfection of life.
Yeah. So these are all the different stages, the same categorization of how one progresses from Shraddha to Prema. That is one categorization, one way of putting things. And this is also another way of categorizing or another way of different stages of growth of a devotee. It is also started with the neophyte stage. One should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha, start with Shravana Dasha. So this is another way of categorizing the growth of a devotee. So this is from Jiva Goswami. That's what I heard. So, but this is as we grow in spiritual life, at least after Anardhani Vritti, as we are becoming more and more attached to Krishna, we are developing taste, first of all, taste to the spiritual life. Taste in the sense that we want, just as mentioned, Prabhupada mentioned, why only 16? Why not 16? Why only half an hour class? Why not 3-4 hours? Why only class starts? We always look forward when the class ends, when the Bhagavatam will end, when I will take prasad. These are all our conditional stage thoughts. So, but when attains Ruchi stage, when he is coming to Ruchi stage, he is aspiring to hear more and more about Krishna, about qualities of Krishna, about Bhagavatam. So these are all advanced stages after Anardhani Vritti, Nishta, Ruchi and Asakti are the stages where one is wanting or desiring more and more to hear, chant, associate, talk about Krishna. So there are all advanced stages. So from that stage, how one grows is morely of these stages. So by constantly remember hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing his form and qualities, one will come to the stage of acceptance, or varana. At this stage, he becomes attached to Krishna Katha. So this is the main point here. One is attached to Krishna Katha. He wants to hear more and more. Many characters in Bhagavatam, like Parikshit Maharaj, like Sutta Goswami and Shaunakadi Rishis, the Vidura and Maitreya. Vidura was speaking and Maitreya was speaking and Vidura is inquiring. So they want to hear more and more about the details. Also, Parikshit Maharaj eagerness is also very much glorified in various questions asked by that. Even Sukadeva Goswami glorifies Parikshit Maharaj for his appetite to hear more and more about Krishna. So that is a stage called Varanadasha, where we are attached to hearing Krishna more and more. Then that hearing and recitation, that hearing and Shravan and Kirtana is becoming more now solidified in terms of remembering the Smaranavastha. So in that Smaranavastha also there are different stages are explained here. recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance and trance, 5 stages of progressive Krishna Smarana. Prabhupada also, Jay Goswami also give technical understanding how one stage gradually grows to more and more to further stages. So when it is interrupted in intervals, then it's more of a recollection. Then it proceeds without interruption. Remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. That is called meditation. One is absorbed and one is meditating on. Of course, actually this process of remembering Krishna's pastimes is we will read in an OD, Nectar of Devotion, also in the next verses. Is a Raganuga Bhakti, where one comes to the stage of Ruchi and Asakti, especially. At that stage, when things are becoming more and more clear to the sadhaka devotee, how he is attracted to Krishna, in what form he is attracted to Krishna, that one comes to understand at the stages of Ruchi and Asakti. Then the remembrance of different unspecific pastimes or specific activities of Krishna becomes more and more concentrated. So the devotee. But one point we need to understand, these are all under guidance. It's not one speculates or imagines himself. Okay, I'm attracted to a gopa, I'm attracted to a gopi, I'm attracted to some other. It's not the imagination. It's it happening actually, and it's under very, very superior guidance. These are all things need to happen. So one need to consult, and then one need to practice these things. That remembrance and reflection and concentration cause meditation. His meditation continues, is developing more and more, going deeper into aspects of meditation of that leelas or the activities. Prabhupada also mentions the next verses about Ashtakaliya leelas of Krishna, or in Gauram Mahaprabhu also, anyone based on devotees' interest. So then that Smriti Anusmriti becomes very concentrated, then one is actually realizing his identity and form and relationship of Krishna. That is called Sampatti Dacha, perfection in Samadhi. So these are all little more just an information of technical information. Especially for me, it's only an information. Many of us, we are, but it's also good to know what is the future if we are sincere and serious to develop in our practice of bhakti. So then Prabhupada focuses more on what happens in Sampatti Dasha. I think it's already 4:28. Maybe tomorrow we'll continue. If you have any one question or any comments or want to share.
Prabhuji, just you mentioned one Srimad Bhagavatam. You took a reference from Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto. Can you?
Yeah, that verse you want to see. I think today I noted down the verse number. The 1 point. 1 entire just the verse. Bhakti Parishan Ho. Bhakti Parishan Ho. Correct. 11.2. 11-42. 11-42. Bhakti Parishan Ho Virakti
11-42.
42.
11.2.42, right?
Yeah, 11th canto, 2nd chapter, 42nd verse.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And you can go to the purport also. You please read the purport. Those who have time, it's very good purport. At least in a practicing sadhaka, what he should experience about his spiritual progress. It's very nicely. Of course, Prabhupada was not there to write, but the disciples wrote the purport. But it's very, very good purport to go through. Understanding about spiritual advancement, what happens. Okay, thank you so much for your patient hearing. We'll meet tomorrow. We'll continue our study on Deshamrit. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. उपदेशामृत की जय। श्री रूप गोस्वामी पाद की जय। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
धन्यवाद।